Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of Nev's Garage. Now if this is your first time joining us here on our channel, please hit that subscribe button and also toggle on that little bell. That way you'll be notified when our next video comes out. Now recently on our channel here, we fit new rear struts and associated parts to this MY99 WRX, and as you can probably guess today, by all these KYB parts in front of me, we're going to do the front. So I don't want to keep you in suspense anymore. Let's strut into it. Alright, so we've got the front of the car up on stands, got the wheels off. Now we put our camber measuring tool on here. So that we can set the camber of the front suspension back to what it was after we've had it apart. If you want to know more about this tool, you can check out a comprehensive video on our Unique Tools channel. Alright, cool, so that's all set. Now we can put it back the way it was when we reassemble. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is disconnect the brake hose. Now, we don't want to have to split the brake hose in half and have to re-bleed the system. So we need to find a way of getting the brake hose out of the strut. Alright, I'm going to show you a simple way to do that now. Okay, so what we do is we just get a little cut-off tool and we're just going to cut a slice through this bracket and then bend it out of the way, and then we'll be able to release this hose without undoing it. Alright, so we just put a bit of cut protection in here like this, just so we don't cut into our brake hose, and then zip. Alright, so you can see there that we're able to just snap the rest off, and it's enough to get our brake hose out. So there it is. Don't have to undo the brake hose, and when we put the new strut back in, this will be a lot tidier. You'll see. Alright, so next we're just going to undo the ABS lead off the strut. And we're just going to zip tie him out of the way up here. Okay, now we can undo the strut. Alright, so we need a breaker bar with a nice strong 19 on it, a 19mm spanner, and got to unlock these camber nuts. Alright, so I'm just going to keep them hanging there loose, and now we venture into the engine bay and undo the top nuts. Alright, so now we undo the top 3 nuts. Just leave one hanging by a little. Alright, so now we just take the camber bolts out. Like that. The knuckle kind of just swings free a little, and then just push the strut back like that, take the weight off it, undo the nut that's still on it, and then just tuck the ABS cord back like that, and out she comes. There we go. Right, so before we pull it down, we're just going to mark the front of the spring and the top hat and everything. But so that we make sure it goes back together properly. Alright guys, so let's pull the strut assembly apart. So we've just got a bit of face protection because, you know, springs are a little dangerous. Got some decent twin claw spring compressors.
I'm going to pop on here. These will get the job done nice, and a rattle gun will help move things along a bit quicker. Now this one, I kind of got to cheat a little and put it under the spring seat, so I just need to be extra careful. Once we've got the tension off the top plate, we can undo the strut mount. Off it comes. Just need to give the top perch a bit of gentle persuasion. Tapered washer. I'm going to need that later. Spring perch. And now we can undo the spring. Can't just slip it off, of course, because it's captive under the spring perch. Alright, so there we go. There's our spring. There's our old strut. Definitely could use replacing. Alright, so let's get all this stuff cleaned up now and get our new struts ready to assemble. Alright, so here's our new strut. Now, as I did before on the back, you'll see the little mod I've done here on the brake hose mount. Okay, notched it out so the brake hose can slide in here. Nice and tidy. Give it a spray with some matte black. Won't tell the difference, except it's going to be 1.5 million times easier to put together. Alrighty, so here we go. Got the strap off. Let it extend. Get our top nut ready. Now we're just going to clean the shaft to make sure there's no tide mark on there where it's been stored. It's going to damage our seal or anything. Our bump stop kit. Right. Get it assembled. Just get it started on the shaft, like that. Cool. Get our new top mount ready. Now our spring and other components. Top rubber cap on, and the top spring perch, like that. Have to reuse this cone washer off the old strut assembly because you don't get a new one, so make sure you don't leave this out or you're going to have this spring perch grinding on your thrust bearing. So give him a nice clean up, like that. He goes tapered side up against the bearing. Alright, so that's all ready. Now let's sit it on here. And we're going to need to compress the spring a little to get this started. So we're just going to stand it up like this. Sit the spring in the right place. And we're just going to guide the shaft through it and just sit the top nut on for now for a sec. Let's push it down by hand. And just run it down a bit so it's not going to fly off. Alright, now we put our spring compressors on. One on there. One on the perch like we did before. And then carefully just compress it down a bit. Try and keep it even. Alright, so we've got plenty of room at the top now, so just stand him up. Conical washer, tape it side up, strut top. So again, just push it down by hand, run the nut down a bit. Now, just make sure that everything is in the right spot here. Spring seat, all that kind of stuff. And we're ready to rattle down the top. Here we go. So we're going to hold this top spring perch because that helps keep the shaft where it's meant to. Alright, that's on. Now we undo the spring clamps. 1, 2, there's our strut. One last thing to do is just to zip tie off the bottom of the protection boot. Alright, she's assembled. Beautiful. Alright, let's get it prepped to put in the car. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grease the mouth of this a little bit so that it slides into the knuckle easy. Put a bit of grease on the top threads and then chuck it up in there. Alright, so I'm just going to take away the axle sand that I just had relieving the knuckle. Okay, like that. Just didn't want all that outward pressure on the axle. That's not being held by the brake line, see it's not tight, so it's all good. And up we go. Just got to try and aim it up through the holes. Let's just put a top nut on here. There we go, now it can't fall down. Now what we do is just manoeuvre the knuckle back into it. Like this. Get our bottom bolt, which is the one without the cam, and feed it through Lovely. Once we've got that one in, we can put our cam bolt through. Alright, so it's all but sitting in there now. So we're going to tighten up all the nuts on top now and then put everything back together down the bottom. Now if you're wondering what this top plate is here, that's between our strut top retainers and the strut tower. It's a really hardcore brake master cylinder brace that we designed and manufactured here on Nev's Garage. Now if you want to see that, I'll put the link to that video in the description. Alright, so they're all done. So now it's just to finish off what's down underneath. Alright, so first of all, let's just cut our zip tie off the ABS wire. A bit of grease on its retainer, just so it never rusts. And put him back on. Like that. Now, check out the brake hose. Get a quick wipe. Look how easy it is to install now. Bam. Push the retainer down the hose. See, it can never come out once it's locked in there. Totally safe. Clip goes on. Cool, and then just let the hose relax where it wants to sit. Like that. And done. How much easier is that, eh? Beautiful. Alright, now we can run our camber nuts up. Don't tighten them up yet, of course, because we need to adjust the camber. But firm is fine. Yep, that'll be fine. Cool. Alright, that's sweet. So now we can lock it up. There we go. Now just one final check, make sure it didn't move. Lovely. Alright, so our strut's in there. Now what we're going to do is just clean the disc with some brake cleaner, make sure we didn't leave any residual grease, and throw the wheel back on and we're done. Alright guys, well, there we go. Got our new front struts in the car now, and as well as that we've got the new rear struts in the car as well. That's what we did last time. So there we go, here's our old ones. Off to be with their family from the rear in Subaru parts heaven. And anyway, that's about it. That wraps us up for this episode. As always, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for liking, sharing and subscribing. Jump on our Instagram at Gossam Media, that's our handle. Follow us there. And I'm out. I'm Nev, this is my garage. See you next time.